Today we are going to discuss about the temporomandibular joint. So as I earlier already said so many times, whenever we are studying any joint of the body, we should follow particular sequence so that we can remember each and every point about that joint. So in the temporomandibular joint also we will follow that particular sequence. So the sequence which you should follow is what type of joint it is, what are the articular surfaces, something about the articular disc, then the support of that particular joint like capsule, ligament, then the blood supply, nerve supply, and then finally we will read about the movements occurring in that particular joint as well as its applied anatomy. If you will learn or study about any joint in this particular sequence, then you will not forget any point in the during the exam. It will be very easy also to remember all the point. So let's start with temporomandibular joint. As you know that temporomandibular joint is condylar variety of synovial joint. Then this is the condylar variety of synovial joint. This is the we will write it with different color. This is condylar variety of synovial joint. Next point, we will discuss about its articular surfaces. Then to read about the articular surface, we will see one diagram. As you can see this is the lateral side of our skull bone. So we will see what are the surfaces taking part in the articulation of the TMJ joint. So for this is the articular tubercle, and this is the mandibular fossa, this is the articular tubercle. As you can clearly see this articular tubercle is part of the zygomatic bone, but this mandibular fossa is the part of squamous part of the temporal bone. This is the temporal bone and this is the mandibular fossa. This mandibular fossa is the part of the squamous part of the temporal bone. And as you can see this is our zygomatic bone, and this articular tubercle is the part of our zygomatic bone. And now the third point which is taking part in the TMJ joint, this is the head of the mandible, or you can say condyle of the mandible. And you can see this is the external auditory canal, and this is the tympanic plate, but this tympanic plate does not participate in the formation of TMJ joint, but some clinical point which are related about this tympanic membrane, that's why I am telling. But till now you should only remember this is the articular tubercle, this is the mandibular fossa, this is the head of the mandible. These three parts of the skull are taking part in the formation of the temporal bone. So if we if you write, you should write, if you want to write down, I will write it in the some particular sequence. So surfaces, articular surfaces, so above and below, you should write like this. Sorry, first we will write down the above. Above you can see on two structures are participating above in the formation of the, first was the mandibular fossa, second was the articular tubercle. And below, as you can write down here, below the structure which are taking part is only one, that is head of the mandible. Now after writing this, now you can again see one another diagram in which we will not write anything, we will only understand the thing. So this is the lateral surface of the skull. As you can see in this diagram, more clear image of that lateral surface of the lateral side of the skull. So this is the zygomatic bone, this is the zygomatic bone, this is the articular tubercle, this is the mandibular fossa, this is the head of the mandible, this is the condyle, this is the head, this is the neck, this is the external auditory canal, and in between this mandibular fossa and external auditory canal there is a plate that is known as tympanic plate. This tympanic plate is very important because when there is posterior dislocation or retraction, hyper retraction of the head of the mandible, this can cause fracture in the tympanic plate that will further result in the injury to the tympanic membrane as well as the eardrum. So this is very important, but this is not participate in the formation of the temporomandibular joint. The surfaces which are participate in the formation of the temporomandibular joint are only two above, the mandibular fossa and the articular tubercle, and below head of the mandible. I think now you have understand the 2 points. Type of joint, this is the condylar variety of synovial joint. Next point, what are the articular surface? You can now I think you understood the articular surface. First is the mandibular fossa and second is the articular tubercle. Now next point, I have told you, you should follow this particular sequence. After knowing the articular surface and type of joint, now we will come to the articular disc. As you can see this about the articular disc, this articular disc is present in the all the synovial joint of the body. Like shoulder joint, we have two bone and one this articular disc on the end of the bone. In between the bone, in between these bone, there is a cavity that is filled with synovial fluid. That's why these joints are called as synovial fluid. In this joint, this is also synovial joint. So in this joint also there is a cavity that is filled with synovial fluid, and there is a articular disc. But what is the peculiar feature of that articular disc? This is very peculiar type of articular disc because this is also this also formed, all articular discs are formed by fibrocartilage. This articular disc also formed by fibrocartilage, but this is I have already told this is specific because this articular disc is the remnant of this muscle. As you can see this in this diagram, there is a muscle and this is the articular disc present in between the head of the condyle and the mandibular fossa. So this muscle, this is the lateral pterygoid. This is the lateral pterygoid muscle. This is the lateral pterygoid muscle. This is very important. This is the lateral pterygoid muscle. So the articular disc of temporomandibular joint. Articular disc of temporomandibular joint is the remnant of this tendon of lateral pterygoid muscle. That's why it is very peculiar. This is the exam questions. It can be asked in any of the exam. Okay, now second point about this articular disc. For this we will see another diagram. As you can see, this is the head of the humerus. Okay, this is the head of the humerus. This is the mandibular fossa. This is the articular tubercle, or this is the which muscle? Lateral pterygoid muscle. And this is the, you can clearly see in this diagram, this articular disc is the remnant of tendon of the lateral pterygoid muscle. In this diagram you can very clearly see. I should fill some color in this. Okay, let's try. This is the articular disc, but okay. If you want to know, I was telling some other peculiarity. As you can clearly see in this diagram, this articular disc does not attach to the upper surface. This is the upper surface, as well as it is not attached to the lower articular surface. Means it is present in between upper and lower articular surface. It does not attach any of these surface. You can clearly see in this diagram also. Now this is the second peculiarity. So then, so what are the clinical importance of this articular disc, which is not attaching to the upper surface as well as lower surface? As you can see, this articular disc divide the capsule or joint cavity in the two parts, upper part and lower part. I think there is I have one diagram which is showing this. This is the diagram which is showing this. This is the joint cavity. This articular disc is dividing this joint cavity into the two parts. So the upper part, whenever there are two type of movement occurs in the TMJ joint. One are the sliding gliding movement, in which the mandible rotate move side by side, or protraction and retraction, and the one other type of movement in which that is known as the rotatory movement, in which the mandible moves downward and upward for opening and closing of the mouth. So when there is sliding or gliding movement, at that time this articular disc moves with head of the mandible. That's why the friction occurs in the upper surface of this articular surface. But when there is rotatory movement like opening or closing of mouth, the mandible goes down or upward. At this time the articular disc does not move with head of the mandible, it remains fixed. So the friction force, frictions occurs in the lower surface of this articular disc. So this is the very peculiar feature. That's why it is dividing the friction force during rotatory movement and during the sliding movement. That's why there is no arthritis or very less chance of arthritis in the TMJ joint. So this is the very peculiar features of the articular disc of the TMJ joint. Now we want to study some further more point about the articular disc. So there is two bends. There are two bends present in the articular disc. This is disc, that's why it is circular disc, but it has two thickening in between this articular disc, that is known as bend. These bend provide this articular disc strength, make these articular disc more give more strengthening, more power. So there are one anterior articular disc. This is the anterior tubercle, this is the anterior tubercle, sorry, anterior bend, this is the posterior bend, and the part of the articular disc which is the before anterior bend is called anterior zone. This is known as intermediate zone, and this is known as posterior zone of this articular disc. As you can clearly see this diagram, the posterior bend, this posterior zone of this articular joint, articular disc is bilaminar. You can see in this diagram very clearly. So about the articular disc, you should remember 3 points. 1 point, this articular disc is the remnant of lateral pterygoid muscle. So you should remember 3 points about the articular disc. First point, this is the remnant of lateral pterygoid muscle. Second point, this does not attach to upper articular surface, as well as it is neither attached to lower articular surface. The clinical importance of this will divide the friction force or friction during the movement occurring in the temporomandibular joint, that reduces the chances of arthritis in the TMJ joint. And the third point, this articular disc have two thickening, that is known as bend. One is anterior side, that is known as anterior bend. One is posterior side, that is known as posterior bend. In between there are areas. The area which are anterior to anterior bend is known as anterior zone. In between two bend, the intermediate zone, and posterior to the posterior bend is the bilaminar posterior zone of this articular disc. Now you have understood all the point about the articular disc. Now we will further move in this diagram also. This is very clear diagram. You can see, you can very clearly see, this is the lateral pterygoid muscle, this is the tendon of the lateral pterygoid, and this will make this articular disc. This is the head of the mandible, and this is the mandibular fossa, this is the articular tubercle. This is the very clear image. This is the external auditory canal. So I have shown you 3-4 image because that's why you can clearly make out the difference and the exact location of these points. So now we will come to our next point, the supports. Now we will come to the upper next point, the support. The supports of any joint. Supports of any joint is its capsule. This is the true support of the any joint. So for TMJ joint also there is a capsule, that is the true support of this TMJ joint. So we can divide the supports of TMJ joint in two category, two parts. One is supports, true supports, true supports, and second is accessory support. In the true support there are two true support. One is capsule second is lateral temporomandibular ligaments. And accessory support, you just write down the name. I will explain these supports in very detail, but now just you write down the name: stylo and spheno mandibular ligament. So supports of the TMJ joints are two types: true supports, accessory support. So the supports of the TMJ joints are two types: true support, accessory support. True supports are capsule and lateral temporomandibular ligament, and accessory supports are stylomandibular or sphenomandibular ligament. You just remember the name I have written. I will explain these ligament very clearly. So you see this diagram. First of all, you see this diagram. This is the capsule. This is the capsule. This is the capsule of this TMJ joint. So what are the attachment of this capsule of the TMJ joint? This capsule attached above. Where it is attached? It is attached above to the articular tubercle. Then it is attached to the neck of the mandible. Then it goes behind to attach to the mandibular foramen, and exact location anterior 2/3 and posterior 1/3, at the junction of anterior 1/3 anterior 2/3 and posterior 1/3. So we will write down the attachment of the capsule. This is the capsule. This is the capsule. Now we will write down the attachment. It is attached to the above. We can write in this fashion also: articular tubercle, and mandibular fossa. Where in mandibular fossa? Anterior 2/3 and posterior 1/3, junction of okay, and below neck of the mandible. You can clearly see this diagram. This capsule is attached above to the articular tubercle, then it come to the neck of the mandible, then again it goes to the mandibular fossa and attached to the junction of anterior 2/3 and the posterior 1/3. Now this is next structure we want to see. This is this one. This is the lateral temporo This is lateral temporomandibular ligament. We can also simply call it as lateral ligament. You can see its attachment also. This is attached above to articular tubercle, then it descend down. You can clearly make out it is attached to articular tubercle, then it is descend down and attached to the neck of the mandible in the lateral side, and then it also go to the posterior side of the neck. So it hold the neck of the mandible and prevent hyper retraction of this head of the mandible. So now you have understood the supports of the mandible. True support is capsule and lateral temporomandibular ligament. I have explained capsule is true support for any joint. So in this also capsule is true support. It is attaching above the articular tubercle, then to the neck of the mandible, then it goes upward to attach to the mandibular fossa at the junction of anterior 2/3 and posterior 1/3. Now the lateral temporomandibular ligament also attached to the articular tubercle. It is lateral to the capsule, then it is attached to the lateral side of the neck of the mandible, then it also goes posterior to the neck of the mandible. As I have said earlier also, the direction of muscle fibers as well as the direction of ligament is very important to understand its function. As you know that what are the direction of the muscle fibers, that will directly related to the action of muscle. As the deltoid, if we talk about the deltoid muscle, deltoid had three type of fibers: the anterior fibers, middle fibers and posterior fibers. Anterior fibers are attached anteriorly, that's why they, when they contract, they will pull the humerus toward the inner side, that causes internal rotation. And the fibers which are present medially, that causes abduction of the shoulder joint, and the posterior fibers causes external rotation of the shoulder joint. That's why the direction of the fibers is very important. And when we talk about the TMJ joint, so when we talk about the ligaments prevent the, what are the direction of fibers, in that direction they will prevent the movement. So these lateral temporomandibular ligament prevent the hyper retraction of the mandibular ligament. Okay, now come to the topic. And two more ligaments that are, I have told you now, two more ligaments, that is accessory ligament. To understand them very clearly, first you understand two landmark in the mandible. One is the, all of you know that this is the mandibular foramen, and above the mandibular foramen there is okay. So to understand these accessory ligament of the temporomandibular joint, you first remember these 2 points. All of you know, actually all of you know, but I want to explain first, then I will tell the name, then it will be very easy. If somebody don't know, then he can also understand. So this is the mandibular fossa, this is the lingula, this is the tongue-like projection present above the mandibular foramen, and this is the angle of mandible. All of you know that, but still we will write this point. This is the lingula. Okay, this is the angle of now we will come to the next diagram. This is the, all of you can see this. Okay, now it's better visible. So this is the cut section, coronal section, and we are looking it from medial side. So this is the styloid process, and this is, I have told, the lingula. Sorry, this is the spine of sphenoid bone, and this is the lingula. This is the styloid process, and this is the angle of mandible. So one ligament is attached from sphenomandibular. This is the stylomandibular ligament. This sphenomandibular ligament and stylomandibular ligament, it is attached to spine of sphenoid to lingula of mandible, and this one styloid process to angle of mandible. As you can see this diagram, as you have seen this in this diagram, these sphenomandibular or stylomandibular ligament does not attach to the capsule directly, or these are not associated with capsule directly, so they are known as accessory ligament, but they are helping the mandibular joint because they are helping to the mandible. That's why these are known as accessory ligament. So now we have finished our discussion. So we have finished our discussion till capsule, ligaments, and now we will come to the blood supply. So blood supply is very easy, as all of you know that blood supply is very easy, as all of you know that the vessels very close to the mandibular joint will also supply the mandible. So for this, all the there are two terminal branch of the external carotid artery. One is maxillary, one is maxillary, and other is mesenteric. Both are branch of mesenteric artery. Sorry, I have done some mistake. So blood supply, there are two superficial maxillary artery and superficial temporal artery. The branches of these two artery will also supply the temporomandibular joint. Now the nerve supply for this, now the nerve supply, there are two nerves which are very closely associated with the temporomandibular joint, also supply the TMJ joint also. For this, one nerve, the auriculotemporal nerve, that is the branch of posterior division of mandibular nerve, will supply the TMJ joint, and other nerve, that is mesenteric nerve, that supply the masseter muscle, also supply the TMJ joint, that is also branch of mandibular nerve. but from the anterior division. The masseteric nerve is the branch of anterior division of mandibular nerve. Okay, now we will come to the movements. We will understand clearly, as I have told you when I taught the muscles around the face. So the elevation and depression, the elevation is caused by the muscle which are coming from here to here, that is temporalis. Then the medial pterygoid and masseter muscle also help in the elevation or closing of mouth. So closing of mouth is also known as elevation of mandible. It is caused by temporalis muscle. It is also helped by medial pterygoid and the masseter muscle. Medial pterygoid and masseter. Okay. Now the depression of the mandible or opening of mouth is usually caused by lateral pterygoid as well as the gravity of the because gravity always pull down the everything, so it will also pull down the mandible. So the opening of the mouth is caused by gravity as well as the lateral pterygoid. And now the side by side movements, that is now caused by medial and lateral pterygoid together. But the important point you should remember in the movement of the TMJ joint, the right side medial pterygoid and lateral pterygoid move the left side TMJ joint, and the left side muscle moves the right side TMJ joint. So these muscle action are to the contralateral joint. So this is very important. So please, now I think you have understood very clearly the TMJ joint. I have shown you so many images, so now so that you can clearly understand the facts. So thank you.